Hello and welcome. In this video, you're going to learn how to get a wide range of sound out of your bass drum and how to decide what's the right microphone position for each song. Let's get to it.
Learn audio engineering. Learn audio now.
Sound strategies to sound goals. Hey, I'm Robert from LearnAudioEngineering.com, and if you want to record deep, thunderous bass drum sounds from your own home studio drum kit, then check the description below because I've got a free cheat sheet for you on ideal bass drum miking techniques, and it's got a couple extra tips that I didn't have time to fit into this video, so you won't want to miss out. So let's start by talking about the ideal kick drum sound in most modern music. We have three parts of the frequency spectrum to focus on. To start, we've got the low end. Duh, it's a kick drum. We've got the 40 to 80 hertz fundamental note, the oomph and body of the sound. This is a really important part of the kick drum, and the amount of low end that you want depends on the tempo. A slower song has more space between the beats, so it can handle the increased low end and sustain of the notes. Whereas a faster song has less space between the beats and can get muddy if the part is too busy. That's why fast, articulate bass parts often don't actually have a lot of low end. They focus more on the attack part of the wave. So this attack, this second part, the click of the sound, can go anywhere from 1 to 2 kilohertz all the way up to 7 kilohertz, depending on the tone that you want for your drum. This covers everything from spike, point, crack, tap, or that really hard Lars Ulrich kick drum sound. It's the sound of the beater hitting the skin, which we use to localize that hit in time with the music. So this is what we want to articulate really fast bass drum parts in music. That's why heavy metal drummers use triggers. They rely very heavily on the attack information, and the triggers allow them to get the cleanest clicks. And finally, the danger zone. This is the area of boxy, woofy, honky, muddy, low mids that are often cut in modern bass drum recordings. This can span anywhere from 300 hertz to 500 hertz. So to sum it up, we want low frequency information, we want that presence attack information, and we don't need a lot of the low mids because those frequencies are going to be occupied by other instruments in the mix. So keep this in mind when you're layering together kick drums to make a super kick drum sound that hits all the bases. All the bases. So if you're pairing together and sequencing samples, make sure to look for sounds that complement each other and hit those different points. You might pair a deep kick drum sound with a very clicky kick drum sound so you can get something that will blend together in the mix. So if you're a recording engineer or a home studio drummer, stick around because I've got a whole lot more tips for you, especially about miking inside and outside the kick drum. Next, we're going to talk about how these individual parts can be recorded and custom shaped to fit each song. The first thing I want to talk about is kick drum mic placement inside the drum. Often, we're going to be using a dynamic microphone for this. And the thing that we want to think about when positioning the mic is how close it is to the beater. The closer the microphone is to the beater, the more attack you're going to get, and the shorter the sustain of the note is going to be. As we start to move the microphone further away, we're going to get a rounder attack, and we're also going to get an increase of low end. This is because low frequency waves are very long, so it takes time for them to develop. So as we move the microphone further away, we're going to get more of that fundamental kick sound, and it's going to give us a longer and fuller note. We want to avoid putting the microphone dead center in the bass drum where we get standing waves. These are going to be basketball-like resonances that make the kick sound very unpleasing. Of course, you could check out my Steve Albini kick drum mic video for a way to avoid that. This first position has the inside microphone right up against the beater. Let's check it out. This next position, the microphone is a little bit further back. It's in the center of the drum, but it's still offset from the beater. And this final position has the microphone barely sitting inside of the kick port. So you can really hear that as the microphone moves further away, we get more low end, we get a longer note, and we also get a bit less of that attack. As we move the mic closer, the attack is emphasized and the decay of that note is much shorter. So maybe you don't have a hole in your bass drum skin and you want to put a microphone on the outside of the kick drum. For this, I would definitely recommend a condenser microphone. Microphones outside of the kick are naturally going to pick up a little bit more low end because they're further away from the beater and that wave has had some time to develop. You can shape the sound of the microphone outside the kick drum by moving its position offset the center of the bass drum. If you have the microphone placed in the center of the drum, it will have the fullest sustain and a more round attack sound. And as you move it to the edge of the drum, that attack is going to be emphasized and you're going to get a shorter note. So if you're planning on combining mics, an inside and an outside, it's good to find positions that are going to complement each other. One approach that I like is having the inside mic right up against the beater and having the outside mic about a third of the way from the edge of the shell. The microphone inside provides a lot of emphasis on the attack, while as the microphone outside gives the round bottom end that fills out the tone. And remember to check phase when you're adding these sounds together. So thank you so much for watching this video. Make sure to check the description below for a link to my bass drum recording cheat sheet that has all of this information and more summed up into one page. I'm going to be doing a few more videos on drums in the upcoming weeks, and I want to give a huge shout out to my first Patreon, Leonardo Caruso. Thank you so much. For my Patreons, I will be putting out an extra video this week on bass drum recording with an extra little secret in there, so you won't want to miss it out. Check me out on Patreon if you want to support the channel more. Remember to like this video and subscribe for fresh weekly content. Really helps me out when you do that. And as always, I'll see you in the next video.